Ladies and gentlemen, nature is always a magnificent and mysterious canvas, where we are constantly captivated by its inexplicable and mesmerizing phenomena. But have you ever wondered what lies behind that grandeur? What makes nature both alluring and terrifying at the same time? There are moments when nature is as gentle as a soothing melody, bringing peace and tranquility. But then, suddenly, like an unannounced fury, Mother Nature erupts with immense power, sweeping away everything in its path. Fierce storms, terrifying landslides, whitewashing floods, or blazing volcanic eruptions, all of these make us feel small and helpless in the face of this invisible force. Join us at Best Notes as we compile 50 terrifyingly thrilling moments, captured through the lens of a reporter's camera, stepping into the very instances where nature shows its full wrath. What has provoked Mother Nature's anger? What secrets are waiting for us to uncover? Don't leave your screen and buckle up. Follow the channel to ensure you don't miss a single second. The first dramatic scene, a terrifying hailstorm suddenly struck Canada, leaving everyone stunned and fearful. Hailstones the size of golf balls fell from the sky at breakneck speed, turning everything into a chaotic and dramatic scene. Can you imagine it? As you're driving down the road, the sky suddenly turns a dark shade of gray and then, loud crashes are heard everywhere, signaling the wrath of nature is upon us. Car windows shattered, rooftops punctured, and trees snapped in an instant. What caused Mother Nature to unleash this fury on a land that was once peaceful? Is this hailstorm just a temporary phenomenon, or does it signal something more ominous to come? Join me as we uncover the secrets behind this mysterious hailstorm. At the Ardeer Glacier, a terrifying scene straight out of a horror movie has suddenly unfolded. Imagine massive ice blocks towering like skyscrapers, suddenly shattering like a broken mirror, then hurtling down with a speed that could rival a Formula One car in its final lap. The sound echoed like the roar of a giant ice monster, shaking the very sky above. Just when you think you're safe amidst the majestic beauty of nature, Mother Nature decides to entertain with a spectacular show, and no one wants to be the star of this performance. Tons of ice and rock tumble down at breakneck speed, as if they're competing in a downhill race, with no finish line. But the big question is, what made these ancient ice blocks decide to move out after thousands of years? Is Mother Nature reminding us that she still holds all the power? Or is she just doing a bit of spring cleaning? Join me as we dive into this bizarre event and explore whether we can predict nature's next fury, or if we're just here to watch the next quirky performance she has in store. It's truly terrifying, folks. We are currently on the scene where the southwest atmospheric river storm has swept through, and in some areas, the storm has just passed, captured by our cameras. Look at this, a horrifying scene of devastation. In just a few short hours, the storm has turned the entire sky into a murky haze, with winds howling as if they were trying to tear the air apart. Can you imagine? Ancient trees, standing for decades, have been uprooted and smashed everything in their path. And the rooftops, each tile, blown away, swirling in the fierce vortex like tiny toys in the hands of nature. But what frightens us the most is the eye of the storm. Have you ever wondered what lies within that massive vortex? As the storm reaches its peak, the eye appears, creating an eerie moment. Everything seems silent, but it's only the deadly calm before the true fury unleashes. We stand here, in this scene of desolation, wondering, has nature relented, or is this just the prelude to an even more violent assault? Stay with us as we follow each development. You can feel the fear that surrounds us. Trees, which usually stand tall and proud, were now swaying and bending under the strong winds like drunken dancers trying to keep their balance on a stormy stage. Branches bowed to the ground, as if they were paying respect to the invisible force of the storm. But it wasn't just the trees that were affected. The storm showed no mercy to the train docked at the station either. The train, often seen as an immovable giant, was pushed to tilt by the wind like a paper boat in a swimming pool, and let's not forget, the storm even caused the football matches to be postponed. The football field, usually the scene of intense games, was swept by the wind, sending the ball rolling away as if it were in an unplanned marathon. We might laugh at this sight, but the storm itself was far from a joke. It's a reminder that, no matter how well prepared we think we are, nature has a way of making us stand in awe, both amazed and helpless. Toronto has become the stage for a fierce storm, where nature has unleashed its wrath without mercy. The storm struck, turning this bustling city into a flooded battleground, causing severe flooding in many areas and leaving thousands of residents trapped in chaos. Can you imagine, when the streets suddenly transform into rushing rivers, where cars are no longer a means of transportation but instead become makeshift boats floating in a sea of murky water? But it didn't stop there. The destruction escalated as powerful winds, like an invisible saboteur, appeared suddenly without warning. The wind howled through the streets as if it wanted to sweep away everything in its path, from billboards to trees that had withstood countless storms. It seemed as though this wind had a specific goal, to erase every trace of green, leaving behind only barren desolation. Perhaps the most terrifying moment was when a tornado formed right in the midst of the darkened sky. Imagine witnessing a tornado spinning with wild force, as if it were toying with the buildings. Roofs were torn off and swept away like autumn leaves caught in the wind. In the Netherlands, this storm turned even the sturdiest structures into small playthings, easily knocked over and carried away without any warning. This storm spared no one and showed no mercy to anything in its path. Run if you can, but can you escape nature's fury? We can only hope and pray that this storm will pass without causing further damage. But in this moment, all we can do is stand in awe, amazed at the unmatched power of Mother Nature, and wonder, is this the end, or just the beginning of another tempest? Will peace truly return? We don't know yet, but one thing is certain, this storm has left everyone holding their breath in utter anxiety. Don't take your eyes off the screen, and be sure to hit follow on the Best Notes channel to stay updated and find out what remains after nature's wrath. The camera takes us to witness a magnificent yet terrifying natural phenomenon, lightning storms across the South American night sky. If you thought the sky was peaceful, think again. These lightning bolts light up the entire sky, leaving us with countless questions. Imagine standing in a quiet field, suddenly illuminated by flashes of lightning, followed by thunder that makes your heart skip a beat. These bolts seem to chat with each other, weaving between clouds as if exchanging secrets, leaving us to wonder what's really happening up there. But beware. These lightning bolts carry immense power, enough to turn a peaceful night into an electrifying nightmare. What causes these bolts to form? Are they a battle of gods, or just nature reminding us of its power? Let's continue exploring. Each lightning bolt is a question yet to be answered. Do we really want to know the answer? Let's continue exploring together, because each lightning bolt is a question that remains unanswered. Can we ever unravel the mystery of these lightning storms, or will we forever be curious observers under this wondrous display? And more importantly, do we really want to know the answer? Oh, look at that. We don't need to turn to talented screenwriters or movie stars to tell today's story because nature's performance is captivating enough without any embellishment. We are witnessing a phenomenon that no one would ever wish to experience in reality, a massive sandstorm wreaking havoc. Imagine standing in the middle of the desert, with the sun still shining brightly overhead, and then, from afar, a thick yellow wall begins to creep closer, as if someone is slowly drawing a massive curtain across the sky. That is the sandstorm, and it arrives unannounced, without invitation. In just a few minutes, the entire landscape is swallowed up in a swirling sea of sand, like a giant dust curtain enveloping everything in its path. Oh my God! Cars speed down a deserted desert road, but not to reach their destination peacefully. They're fleeing a massive sandstorm chasing them from behind. The storm keeps expanding, like an invisible monster, swallowing everything in its path. Cars are engulfed in a sea of sand, their headlights almost useless as everything around them fades into a yellow haze. Rear-view mirrors reflect only a wall of sand closing in, leaving no room for anyone to escape. And don't think for a moment that a sandstorm is just a strong wind carrying a bit of harmless dust. No, this storm can turn bustling streets into raging rivers of sand, where visibility drops to just a few meters. The wind howls like a pack of wolves in the dead of night, carrying tons of sand and dust into the air, making it a challenge even to breathe. Can you imagine what it's like to drive in these conditions? It's like navigating a ship through a stormy ocean. You can't see what's ahead, you don't know where you're going, you just have to keep a firm grip on the wheel. But what causes these sandstorms to form? Is nature angry at being disturbed, or is this the desert's way of showing its vitality? We might ask, how do tiny grains of sand come together to create such a powerful force? Perhaps this is a message from nature, reminding us that even the smallest things, when combined, can become a formidable power. Don't rush to leave your screen, because the most magnificent moments of nature are still waiting for you ahead. From fierce storms to mysterious phenomena, every second brings amazement and excitement. Join Best Notes to explore and experience the wonders of nature through every vivid frame. Don't forget to hit follow on Best Notes so you won't miss any of these breathtaking moments. Before our eyes, we're witnessing a natural spectacle so grand that even Hollywood would be envious, volcanoes suddenly deciding to erupt in unison as if they'd held a secret meeting to plan a global shockwave. If anyone thinks that Italy's Stromboli and Etna volcanoes teamed up to erupt together, they're probably right. This is clearly a collaboration none of us would want to witness up close. Look at that, just as Etna begins to let off steam, shooting columns of fire and ash into the sky, Stromboli, not wanting to be outdone, immediately joins in on the fire party. It's like watching two giants compete to see who can create the biggest explosion, and all of us, the reluctant spectators, can only watch from a distance with growing anxiety. And don't be surprised. Don't think for a moment that these glowing rivers of lava are just a beautiful sight to admire from afar. No, my friends, they are real rivers of fire, capable of incinerating everything in their path as quickly as you would flip over an over-toasted piece of bread. Look at that. Thick ash blankets the sky, making the air thick and suffocating, as if someone suddenly turned off the fan on a sweltering summer afternoon. But what caused these volcanoes to suddenly blow their tops at the same time? Are they secretly competing to see who will be the star of this eruption, or is nature simply giving us a humbling lesson? And the bigger question, is there another volcano quietly preparing to join this fire-cooking contest? Let's keep watching together, because every eruption brings unexpected surprises, and nature always has a way of leaving us both amazed and uneasy. Can we predict what will happen next, or will we just stand there, like a friend unknowingly pulled into a game they never signed up for? And more importantly, what will you do when the lava starts flowing your way? Better have your best running shoes ready, because nature waits for no one. And now we are witnessing a heartbreaking and dramatic scene, a fierce wildfire raging across Turkey. The flames, like ferocious fire dragons, relentlessly devour the lush green forests, leaving behind nothing but ash and thick black smoke. This sight makes us wonder, what sparked this wrath of nature? And do humans have the power to control or at least contain it? Imagine a once peaceful, vibrant forest now transformed into a blazing sea of fire. The lush green leaves turn into burning torches, spreading rapidly as if driven by an invisible force. The wind, once a gentle friend, now becomes an accomplice, fanning the flames, making them spread faster and wider, pushing residents and firefighters into an uneven battle. Can you imagine trying to extinguish this blaze? It's like trying to stop a storm, unpredictable and relentless. But what makes these flames so dangerous? Are they just a natural part of the forest's life cycle, or are they the result of climate change, of unconscious human interference? We might ask, is there any way to control these wildfires, or can we only stand by and hope that nature will eventually balance itself out? Standing before this scene, we can't help but feel small and powerless. But the bigger question is, what can we do to protect what remains? And can we find a way to live with fire, or will we forever be racing against the flames, trying to save what we can before it's too late? Let's continue to follow this situation closely, because each wildfire is not just a disaster but a serious reminder of the fragility of life and the urgent need to act before scenes like this become too familiar. Can we prevent the next blaze, or will we be left waiting in fear, hoping it doesn't come too close to our homes this time? Look at that. The heavy cars that usually roll smoothly along paved roads are now being swept away like lifeless toys, spinning in the rushing floodwaters. The entire city, once bustling with life, has fallen silent, submerged in a vast sea of water, with all activity coming to a standstill, and all hope seemingly buried under the murky waves of mud. Dear God, bring peace to the people here. There may be no disaster as terrifying as a flood, the most destructive force of nature. And when it comes to floods, we cannot overlook the devastating floods in China, where normally calm rivers suddenly turn into bloodthirsty monsters, sweeping away everything in their path. The prolonged heavy rains have turned China's cities into raging torrents, carrying away everything from trees and houses to those heavy cars. It's no exaggeration to say that these floods are like an uninvited guest, shattering the peace and throwing the lives of thousands into chaos. While volcanic eruptions resemble spectacular Hollywood explosions, floods are more like an ongoing horror movie. It's not an instant explosion, but a slow, relentless surge that's no less dangerous. Water isn't something you can avoid, it seeps into every corner, making movement nearly impossible. Can you imagine trying to swim through floodwaters strong enough to carry away buildings, like trying to row a boat in the middle of a stormy ocean? The streets turn into raging rivers where everyone must struggle to survive. Trees are uprooted, power lines topple, and all traces of daily life are wiped out in an instant. What remains are just fragments, smeared with mud, and an overwhelming sense of helplessness hangs over everything. What's happening here? The sturdy levees, the solid concrete walls, all become useless against the unstoppable force of the floodwaters. Homes and streets are swallowed up without warning. What once stood as symbols of stability and safety are now mere debris floating in an endless sea. But what makes these floods so terrifying? Is it climate change, or a dangerous combination of nature and human mismanagement of the environment? We might ask, is there any way to predict and prevent these floods before they turn into disasters, or can we only stand by and wait for the destruction to arrive? Let's continue to explore, because each flood is not just a disaster but a stern reminder of the fragility of life and the consequences we face. Can we learn from these tragedies, or will we continue to repeat the same mistakes? And when the next flood comes, will we have enough time to escape, or will we be swept away by the relentless, unstoppable waters? This is not just China's story, it's the story of the entire world. Because floods don't recognize borders, and if we don't act now, the next time it might not be in some distant country, but right at your own doorstep. Be prepared, because nature always has a way of reminding us just how small we are in the face of its overwhelming power. Dear viewers, we've just journeyed through an emotional roller coaster, witnessing 50 of the most awe-inspiring and terrifying moments of nature. From fierce storms and floods that sweep away entire cities, to fiery volcanic eruptions, Mother Nature has shown us her boundless power, reminding us of the fragility of life on this planet. But the big question is, what can we do to protect ourselves from these disasters? How can we coexist peacefully with nature without fearing its wrath? Have you ever wondered which natural disaster is the most terrifying? Could it be the catastrophic floods that sweep everything in their path? Or the powerful storms strong enough to lift cars and topple even the sturdiest buildings? Perhaps it's the earthquakes. When the ground beneath our feet suddenly shifts, opening massive cracks that swallow everything. Each disaster carries its own unique terror, but they all share one common trait: They are unpredictable, and when they strike, they leave behind unimaginable destruction. But the most important thing is that we cannot simply stand by and be afraid. We must act. Protecting the environment is key to reducing these disasters. By cutting down on greenhouse gas emissions, preserving forests, and using resources sustainably, we not only help protect the planet but also safeguard ourselves and future generations. The horrifying scenes we've just witnessed in these 50 moments are Mother Nature's clearest warning to us. What can we do to prevent the next disaster? The first step is to fully understand the importance of protecting the environment, starting with the smallest actions in our daily lives. But it doesn't stop there. We need cooperation from nations, organizations, and every individual to create a global movement for the safety of this planet. Remember, nature is not only a source of life but also a force of destruction. We have a responsibility to care for and protect it, so we don't have to witness more disasters like these. Our story doesn't end here. This is just the beginning of a journey in which each of us must play a part. So, what do you think is the most terrifying disaster? And what will you do to protect yourself and your family from the power of nature? Think about it, act, and together we can make a difference. Don't forget to follow Best Notes to ensure you don't miss any upcoming moments, where we'll continue bringing you the stories and information everyone needs to live safer and more sustainable lives.